Welcome back, everybody, to my YouTube channel, Patricia Monna Intuitive Consulting. I have a very special guest today with me, Kenneth Kamien, who is a life coach retired from the Chicago Police Department. Welcome, Kenneth. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm really excited to talk to you today about how we can make this world a better place.
Thanks, Patricia. It's very nice to be here, and thanks for your kindness and openness in having me here. It's a
Absolutely.
pleasure.
So, one of the things that I wanted to talk to you today is about men's mental health. I think that it is absolutely amazing that you have made the jump over from the police department into helping others and life coaching. And the one thing that I've noticed in society lately is that men's mental health, it's crashing. Have you noticed that at all?
Yeah, it seems like there's definitely an uptick in men's health and in many people, everybody's health, really, in so many ways, but especially when it comes to addressing the men's health, right? It's there haven't historically been a whole lot of tools out there for many people, and especially men. When we come from historically the macho, rigid, I'm a man and I'm invincible, or if you speak about anything, most of us were still raised in that, and it hasn't been until the last generation or two where things start to soften up in a good way, where people can reach out and talk about things and be more communicative, as well as having resources out there to share ideas, to know that you're not alone and that there is help. So yes.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I think especially over the last 3 years, you know, the strongest of the strong is really feeling that pressure now. And it's interesting because I've actually seen a lot of police officers retiring from the force and just with everything that has happened, there's been such a massive shift as well in the consciousness of society where I think that we do have to, become a lot more aware of how people are hanging by a thread right now, and how we can make a difference through life coaching and through intuitive life coaching. That's the wonderful, beautiful thing about what you do. You do what I do. You do intuitive life coaching. It comes to you. You're not looking at a book for the answers on what this person needs to do and what they need to know. It comes through. How does it come through for you?
It's a great question. It's I didn't realize it first, but I suppose, been intuitive since I was really young, right? But most all, if not every single person, well, every single person, but specifically in law enforcement with police officers, you wind up working off of your intuition in so many ways. Now, just like anything, maybe there's a more positive way that you could do it and a more negative way, but when you're really in tune with yourself or what's going on, it can be something like, just walking into an alley late at night and the hairs go up on the back of your neck and something just isn't right. And there's all these things, these experiences, there's stuff from past lifetimes, if you would, that all kind of coalesce into a picture and more of a feeling into things, right? And this is the paradox of being a man, I suppose, in, in a very masculine, I should say, a masculine way of um, handling things historically and being cut off from being able to feel any other way.
Yeah.
If this makes sense. Well, my intuition was always there, kind of guiding me, and I kind of maybe put it away as no, it's not what it is, and I can't be. I can't be in touch with myself in that way. So I kind of felt a little bit more rigidity, if that makes sense. So it was always there, but the more I started to embrace it as later on in my career, and I understood, when I started to connect with people, because I've talked to thousands and thousands of people, tens of thousands of people, in conversations, let alone interviews and in crime scenes or processing things, and um, I started to feel these underlying currents and how everybody is really linked, and there's a certain amount of overt personalities and these personality types and such like this. So what's missing from a person when somebody who is feeling inadequate or somebody who needs certainty in their lives, and they're just filled with uncertainty, or things from within and things like this. But there's only a limited amount of different types of personalities, but the energy that's underneath it, that's kind of what ebbs and flows. And I was picking up on that. Um, so as I was doing that, I was kind of embracing who I am a little bit more and being okay with it, because I shut it out, like I said.
Mhm.
So the more I found that when I embraced it, I could do more good. I could do what I was really there to do, which, is help people, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I know a lot of police officers refer to it as their spidey senses. I've had the pleasure of teaching many police officers in my career, whether it's through meditation or psychic development. And I think that, in order to even be a police officer, I think you got to be psychic on some level, because you have to, you're trained to know, to be able to feel into, a suspect and I don't know. I think that it's definitely a God-given ability, and I'm glad you have it because I'm sure that really helped when you're out on the streets.
Yeah, it's definitely a calling, and uh, those that really excel, I think, at the profession, right, are able to engage both the logical and what I call, the heart consciousness of things. So when you're there to really help people and do things, and what I love probably the most out of the profession, out of my job uh, in Chicago and the United States, is that there was a certain amount of leeway and discretion at what we did. So I did have the opportunity to lead as much as possible with a discerning heart,
Yeah.
right? Versus, it's one thing to have a law that gets passed, and is it really practical when you can arrest somebody for a nickel or dime bag of cannabis, or a crack rock or something, and that's a felony, right? And you could very easily destroy somebody's life on paper. And so when you tune into somebody, are they breaking into houses and garages and they're doing something to somebody else? Yeah, maybe they need to be arrested and taken away from the public, the possibility of victimizing anybody else.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, for the sake of just having an arrest or doing something, to be able to use that discretion to say, you know what, this guy he's got a substance abuse problem. Let's get him some help. Right. And there's another way to do these things. So that was the fun that I was able to have, was deciding whether or not, hey, here's what we could do, and this is really helping somebody or a community, and hey, we can help this out. So that I took the most pride in that type of stuff. So,
Oh, that's
and it
amazing.
kind of went from there.
So you made the career switch into life coaching. You want to tell me a little bit about that? How come, why the sudden change?
Hmm. Yeah, it wasn't very sudden, like switching, turning off a switch or anything, but it was this gradual thing, and I felt myself kind of getting pulled away, that I wasn't enjoying it as much as I could, and especially in the social climate that's happened in the last handful of years.
Mm,
And there's really no absolutes in this life. We have this variety in, I call it, the duality, right, or the yin yang polarity of things. It's not that cut and dried, and so much, if we learn to become more fluid and allow things, instead of this is right, this is wrong, it's either day or night, and left wing, right wing, or whatever the deal is, it's a little bit or a lot of bit of both things. And so I started really becoming a sense of not really truly fulfilled. And yeah, I was helping people and doing things, but on the one end, the court systems changed and shifted, and they I saw victims getting victimized twice, basically, is what winds up happening. So you get victimized by the criminal, so to speak, and then the on the back end of it is justice isn't being served, and not in a capacity, right? So I wanted something a little bit more. So I started to set myself up in the background. And I've always been kind of a self-learner, self-starter, and just continuing on my journey, of my lifelong journey, really, of getting to the point where I make things as simple as possible, but most in alignment with truth and with the universe and with the laws of nature, which is how I came to understand my intuition a little bit deeper. So, like we've mentioned a little while ago, it's one thing to have man-made law and the creator's law, or the laws of the universe and things, and how do I bridge that gap and become the greatest person that I can. And it's not about, again, getting out of that mindset of being perfect, and
mhm.
because we're all unique, we're all we all have our own attributes, so embracing who we really are. And I felt in most ways that I was hiding more of myself than I was revealing.
Interesting.
So by starting the coaching and realizing like what I've been doing all these years, actually I had many mentors and people that when I was first on, and I continued my education, The police department with some higher education stuff. We had some retired police officers who were teachers at university and things like this, and they had started coaching as well. And it's like, yeah, this is something you can segue in. You're going to get decades worth, you get lifetimes of stuff in a small amount of time where you've seen and been through so much, right? And so I was like, yeah, I guess that was always in the back of my head. But as I accumulated this wisdom, and then I came more into my own truth of like, hey, what makes me tick and what will really make me happy? And so who doesn't love being their own boss in so many
Absolutely.
ways, right? And
Yeah.
so I don't have a whole lot of control when I have to, abide by certain rules or laws or general orders and things like this. And I had a lot more leeway doing it on my own. So I created this momentum on my own, helping people on the side. I did some expos and things and got some certifications, but it really was just it's nice to be me and a bigger chunk of who I really am. If that makes sense. So
Interesting, because it's also one of the reasons why I left nursing. I thought, you know what, there you can't fix a broken system. And our healthcare system up here is so broken. The nurses are overworked, underpaid. There's not enough staff ever. Um, and the patients are the ones that suffer. They really are, because the nurses and the doctors are human beings trying to do the best they can. And I just looked around and went, I can't help to my fullest capacity in this setting. And I got fed up trying to fix broken. And so I too went out on my own. It was the best thing that I ever did. I can help people to my full capacity. I can help when it's finding missing people, or again, looking into a person's life. You're right. In that hour that we get with our clients, it is such an honor and a privilege because we get to actually look into their soul. We get to see the beginning, the middle, the end, the whys. Why are they repeating patterns? Why are they exactly, in the trouble that they're in, and help to find solutions. And I think it's God's work. I know who I'm working for, and that coming home with that kind of fulfillment and joy, knowing that you really made a difference in someone's life, it's you can't put a price tag on that. You really can't, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, it's so rewarding, and it just keeps unfolding, right? And so the more that and here's the thing, like the patterns from watching society and being a servant for society, for people, is that you see these patterns. And the overarching thing is when we as human beings, when we externalize, um, we give away our power to external authorities.
Mm,
Okay. And when we've kind of been entrained in so many ways that um, so many of us have just looked towards someone or something else. Oh, this class is going to make me who I want to be. Dressing like these people on these magazine covers or in these movies, or the church knows better than I do, or the government, or blah blah blah. All these things, anything that's external, and the whole thing is taking your power back and discovering who you really are.
yeah.
And so when it comes to my coaching, what I've done is I say, get out of your own way, basically, right?
Mm.
And with my clients, I use this old William Shakespeare quote, which is, all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players.
Oh, that's
And
a
as
good one. It's the truth.
yeah, we come down here in this particular lifetime, and granted, not everybody believes in reincarnation and these other things, and that's fine and dandy. But the when we come down, we descend into the physical realm, and we become these people in these lives. Um, we are our truth. We're the soul, and we're in the physical body. We start building this identity, and the greatest truth of ourselves. We can see it in our children when they're infants,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And you see how we naturally, as infants, we move, we do things, and then we start accumulating the learned identity, and
Hmm.
the ego gets developed through that identity that accumulates over time. And these are all belief systems. So we're born into our religions, we're born into our community, our family, and some of these things, and learning to,
Even the schools, because
especially,
if there's
yeah,
one thing that, or one certificate that I don't have hanging on my wall, it's my nursing degree. I could burn that thing. I couldn't care less about it. That organized indoctrination, and I don't know, that's just my personal opinion. I'm sure it can be great, but I just think that it is a learned paradigm from people that you're not allowed to question.
And that's a great example. Not to go off on too much of a tangent, but we actually homeschooled my youngest daughter.
Oh,
So
brilliant.
yeah, and so again, I was following my intuition, not really knowing at the time that, oh, here's your intuition or whatever. But with my older daughter, she went to private schools, parochial schools. We're in the urban, in the city, and schools are really expensive. The great education, or better education, I should say, and you pay a lot of money. And we've kind of felt like we really got cheated. And I was like, wow, I remember going to school, and I've been in parochial schools, I've been private, public schools, suburbs, city, whatever. And it was paying a lot of money and getting like subpar education. So when I really broke it down, I thought to myself with my youngest daughter, gosh, what is it that really makes a dynamite human being? Let's cut all the BS, right? And like, what are these things? Like, how much time did you spend in school from kindergarten all the way up to through high school, 12, 13 years just there? And you're, 6, 7 hour day at school. And they're in line to go to the bathrooms, or you're just messing around, or even when you are studying and doing all these other things. But all that time, what do you remember, Patricia, from 13 years of schooling?
Oh God, I remember being bullied. I don't have very many good high school or junior high or elementary memories. To me, it was traumatizing. It was very traumatizing. And
You might remember maybe a favorite teacher, right? Maybe a favorite
I
teacher
do.
one year.
I do. I remember my grade 10 math teacher, Mrs. McEachran. She was the hard ass teacher that everyone hated, and I loved her, and she loved me. So that was a good memory. Wherever she is, God bless her. She made a difference in my life. But yeah, no, I just even with my boys, like I just look at how much bullying and that goes on in schools, and I don't know, it's just, and I did not raise no wimps. I really didn't. But it's traumatizing what we're doing to these kids when we don't give them the support they need, or we're not understanding what the core, of what they're going through is. And I think that teachers are once again so overworked that they don't have time necessarily to connect, with every kid that walks through their door. So yeah, I think we could really use a complete overhaul on our school systems.
Yeah. So what I decided to do is we really just, well, what does it take to make a great human being, right? And it's like the golden rule. It's the same thing with society, is everything starts with the self, with the individual and what's inside here. This is your internal universe is a mirror of the external universe. And the more that you explore that and really come home with that and spend time on that, the more that that's going to grow for you, and you're going to connect. And then these walls, these compartmentalizations, which is the old way of humanity, the old denser, harder, harsher way of being, these these compartmentalizations fall away. It's kind of like lower vibrational, lower realm stuff.
Yeah.
And as we uptick, things become more cohesive, more conjoined, more, we go from the brain to the heart in so many ways. And so it's the golden rule, right? Treat others the way you would like to be treated. All
100%.
these isms that are out there, and count them up, 2 to 2,000, whatever isms there are out there, apply the golden rule to all this stuff.
Yeah.
Would I want to be treated this way? And, hey, I'm not perfect, but how can I do this better next time? And, simplistic things like that get to the core. And when we're shifting things, and what I do with my coaching, the way I was trained, and I love this because it probably would have took me a few more decades of where I've been at on my quest for truth, the greatest truths that there are. And that is what's separating us from our soul selves and our truth is the ego mind, the identity that we've created. So to get back around all the world is a stage, and all the men and women merely players, we've donned these identities. So you put on the makeup, you put on all the costume and everything, the joke. And
Trying to
some of us are really hardcore. Hey, listen to me, I'm the police. Hey, listen to me, I'm Joe Politician. Hey, listen, well, I'm a doctor, I know better, I've got the doctorate right here. Listen to what I say.
Mhm.
Well, very few doctors can put themselves inside your body,
Exactly.
inside your emotions, inside your mind. So you are the one that's responsible for that. And again, to tie that back in, is taking all these things that we've externalized and bringing them home and internalizing. Don't give away your power. And the way that I've experienced it and the way I've seen it is not only in this lifetime, but all the other lifetimes we've had that you can call the past, but time doesn't really exist, but all these simultaneous lifetimes that we've had. And this earth realm really is a school. Okay. And so this school is, we're learning everything between the 2 points and all these variety of things, so we can taste things separately from feeling it with our hands. So you get that ice cream cone, and then you feel the cone. And maybe in the higher realms, everything's a little more conjoined and it's simultaneous. And here you get to relish in each and everything. But around that as well, as we're feeling into and learning these hard knock lessons sometimes. And in order to make the best of what we're doing here, you're no matter what people want to label things, good, bad, right, or wrong, it's really less of all that. It's just the experience. So part of what I do with my clients is to get to the point where we can understand that whatever it is that you're seeing, and this could be some of the most evil, heinous stuff, whether it's the homicides or the abuse or abusive relationships or things, and then the things on the beautiful end, births and weddings and just going having fun sitting at the beach, or whatever it is that makes you just jump up with joy inside and out. Um, all that scope is that it's not quite that real and serious. It's just about the experience. It's not about being right and being wrong. So we're getting out of this and we're returning to the heart. Um, and so by being able to discern when you're acting out of the identity and versus acting out of your truth, your soul self, your true self, and your higher self. And then you get that little, maybe it's a bad taste in your mouth, or you just feel different. We've all walked into the room, and this ties back into the police thing, or just people in general. Your husband or your spouse comes home and they're in a bad mood and everything was great, and you just feel it. They didn't even, maybe they slammed the door, but maybe they didn't, but you just feel something's, oh man, something's really bothering them. So how do we catch that before it escalates and whatever they had bounces off onto you, and now everybody's in a pissy mood?
Yeah.
So right, but when you have the tools and you can go the right way, oh no, I just cleared that. And you can do something to help them as well, and then you can work as a family.
Oh, I love
So
that.
yeah, it's so we start with the individual, and to know that, hey, there's the identity that we built in this life, and then there's the truth of who we are, and
Yeah.
how to cut through all that and really get to the meat and potatoes of it.
Wow, I love it. I love it. Because, yes, everything is energy, and it's how we view what's in front of us and how it embeds itself into our memory, whether it's going to be a good memory or bad memory, and we all know bad memories, they like to stay stuck on repeat, and every time that we even think about it, our body's going to react once again to the memory that we've embedded in there. So I love it. I love that you're doing that. That's amazing.
Thank you so much. Yeah, one of the other things that tie into that too is our attachment to things. When we become, we're passionate about things as human beings, right? We become invested or involved in something, and I want to vote this guy in office, or they shouldn't do that. Even with justice, I have this inherent thing, like real human injustice. When I see somebody being wrong, man, I can flare up, right? And it's like, I got to do whatever I got to do, or this so and so. But to do it in such a manner where when you have a higher perspective on things. And I discovered as another one of my intuitive tools that I used on the job all the time is I would walk into like every single one of these domestics. And what's crazy is I had this game in my head that I would elevate out of my body. And as I'm walking up to a situation, I would see it unfold from like a general sitting on a mountaintop looking down. It
Wow.
was and like kind of a unattached observatory view from down, okay, what's here? And most of it, I just did it mostly out of safety. I would think to myself, how is this person potentially thinking? Or do they have there's the looking and seeing close proximity to possible weapons or other dangers or people hiding. But then it was kind of like elevating above and seeing the totality of everything without being too emotionally invested. And that helped me from getting a lot of tunnel vision and not seeing other potential dangers as well. So these are all tools that we can use on a daily basis to help with relationships or any situations, and that is becoming elevating your perspective on anything, cutting ties with it, the emotional ties,
Yeah.
thinking too much about it, just watching and observing, and
Mhm.
really living our lives more at a softer, not soft as in weakness, softer as in more fluid, right?
Yeah.
And working into something and going from there. And by doing that, you're going to be the rock, you're going to be the foundation for those around you. And you can, instead of escalating a certain situation, no matter where it is, you're going to find that you're the beauty and love and understanding and compassion that's coming from within you, the waves ripple out and affect everybody else. The more you do it,
100%.
yeah, the more it becomes habit and muscle memory, as we used to say with our trainings and things like this. But yeah, so it's such a cool thing. So concepts like that really help, not being too invested in things. And well, how do we do that? Well, how am I not supposed to feel like if this doesn't happen, then my kids won't get into this school and they won't graduate with whatever. Um, it's our perceptions, right? We're attached sometimes to beliefs that we really believe are truth,
Mhm.
but it's just something that we bought into for whatever the reasons are, and those are limited in scope. And
Mhm.
when we start to understand what is a limited belief versus something that's a universal truth, that's all the difference in the world. And
Absolutely.
then now you start, you strip down and you dismantle this identity you've built around beliefs and belief systems, and you start to build around your truth and let it go out.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I know that, sometimes when we have our eye on a certain prize and we think that that's going to be our ultimate destination and it doesn't happen, it can be completely heartbreaking. Our whole world can blow up from it. But one thing that my job has taught me is that you can't have something that's not meant for you. Can't win the lottery no matter how much you want it if it's not supposed to be an experience that you're supposed to experience in this lifetime. Because everything is an experience, even illnesses. For anyone whose body is in a state of illness, ask what it's here for. What is it here to teach you? It will release its grip on you that much more so you can get over it that much quicker. Everything is here to teach us something and to push us into creating what we're here to create. And I'll just say this really quickly. So I've been doing a lot of ancestry searching. I'm heading out to Ireland, to Dublin, Ireland, and I'm going to England to find my relatives this summer. And one thing that fascinated me was when I was looking back, what came to me was, had anything been different in their lives, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. My mother struggled, came from a impoverished family, I just found out. And I just think, had any of her struggles been different, it was her struggles that made her come to Canada. And it's Canada where she met my father. So you see how it's all connected? And we have to learn to bless the bullshit. We have to learn to bless the bullshit. It's happening. It may not be for right now. It may be for a future generation, 4 generations down the road. And that's why you're going through it. But I tell you, everything is connected. Everything, right down to this conversation. It's
Yeah.
absolutely connected. So when we learn to step into that stream of faith and stay in that over fear and know that, I signed up for this. What I'm experiencing right now, I signed up for, and whatever's happening in front of me, it may not be what I envisioned or wanted. But if I step back and have faith and know that this too shall pass, everything changes. That's the one thing we're guaranteed is change. And B, it is for my highest good that I experience this lesson. Stay in that state of grace. Stay in that state of neutrality. Um, I've recently learned how to, not recently, a few years ago, I learned how to do quantum healing. And the one thing that I learned is if we want to release the pain around a traumatic incident or memory, we have to neutralize it because it's literally the charge of the pain. It's the shock to the body. When something traumatic happens and you feel that poof go all through you, well, that creates an energetic charge that's literally embedded into the cellular memory of who you are, right? Especially the bigger poof, the more it's going to be in there. So what we have to do is come to that place of neutrality, neutralize that pain, bring it down to a 1, a 2, or a 0 possibly, and look at it objectively, where it no longer has an emotional hold over you, or physical, mental, emotional, spiritual hold over you. And you can look at it objectively and go, okay, that may in my head not have been for my highest good, but it happened. It happened for a reason, or it would not be happening. So, does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And to start, and here's the interesting thing is when we get and we break down this ego mind, the identity mind, because your truth will never tell you anything derogatory.
Yeah.
The fear, shame, doubt, guilt, all these things are all mechanizations of that ego mind, that you're not enough, that you're not this infinite being with infinite possibility in human form, here to come and create your own destiny and make your choices. And that's, we're made in the image of the creator of all. And with that is the gift, the gift here is to come down and to have the free will. Now, the crazy thing it was difficult for me in the beginning to wrap my head around this, is that because so many people that see as much as first responders do in so many ways, you're like, how could a God, create this, right? And you see this and it's just like unfathomable. But that's our attachment to the humanity aspect of it, instead of, and I'm not saying don't care by disattaching or elevating your perspective over the thing, but by still leading with your heart and the compassion, but cutting the ties that you feel so invested in it, because something is unfolding that's you haven't tuned into quite yet. It's possible for you to tune into that infinite wisdom, but in these life and death quote situations and these high intensity stressful things, it's not always easy to be there. It's a training in and of itself to remain, like you said, neutral, right? And so by I don't want to lose my train of thought, but when we pull back and we remain neutral as much as possible, we're going to see that bigger picture and not doubt it. And there's actually the word faith can have a certain connotation to it, but faith, for in the moment, if you don't understand something, and you can give it up at that moment, not to become invested and to feel that you have to take a side in it, or it's this or whatever, because you might find yourself spiraling down into the lower vibrational things. So to sum everything up, and what we do as light workers, as coaches and consultants for our clients, and in humanity for each other, for us, is that we everything is energy, everything is a certain vibration. And what we're after, the key, it took me a long time to really figure this out in so many ways, but what is your default vibration on a regular basis? Where do you sit on that scale? Are you really up here? Are you kind of here? Does it fluctuate most days? I used to get up when I was a kid, and I actually remember, sometimes getting pretty upset. Like, why does it have to be so damn hard to feel so good, like to get there again? Remember, when we were together with, I was with my friends last week, or I was with my grandfather, whatever, we were fishing or doing whatever. And it's like times are great. And now all of a sudden things are out of control and so complicated. And it's number one, perception, and how we're looking at things. And in so many ways, this vibration that is passed down, when people think of DNA, they think of DNA kind of like in the this realm, the DNA that's scientific and it's very physical somewhere in our cells, and it's in there, but it's everything is energy. So we're talking, did you ever catch yourself, or maybe your kids, acting like, maybe you're acting like your parents? Oh man, my mom used to do this and I promised myself I would never do this. Or my dad, or you see grandkids doing things that's like, oh, they're like Aunt Bessie, whatever. But these are all different forms. These are energetic strands of DNA, these belief systems, and we're in there. And so if you're functioning from a state of consistent lack, scarcity, fear, especially in these society, two biggest hangups so far that I can ever, that I've seen on a regular basis, is money and sex. Our society is so hung up on intimacy and monetary stuff, and it's for the various reasons, those are the biggest, toughest things for people to clear on a regular basis. And I'm learning every day, like going deeper, and it really, till I get to the point now where it can really resonate and sustain a higher vibration around these things, and not looking at it like, I don't have $13.42 to pay this bill this week. You better shut off the lights when, and it takes a lot of the joy and the fluidity of things. So again, this is, what I kind of work with, and we help clear in these sessions. It's like, yeah, it's not what you think it is. Most everything in this realm is the way we've been brought up. It's a little bit this way, and you do that and you're going to sail. And so we get rid of the things that don't serve us. And because you can take two big things I love to do, which is stop making statements with whatever we do. And this is really tough because a police officer, you're trained top to bottom day one. What is wrong with this situation, and is something going to go wrong? But mostly it's the statement of, what is wrong here, and you go find it. And so that sense of lack or something's messed up, right? You're going in and you're looking for that. But on the other end of it is when you start looking at, and it's not necessarily is the glass half empty or half full, and you're always going half full, but in so many ways it is changing that mindset, because whatever you focus on becomes your reality. So if things are half full, it's great. But the other thing was, stop making the statements that this is this, these are that, or, oh, okay, well, this happened, now this is this. Ask questions. And what I mean by that is, there's a phrase that has been used a lot that I love it. It is, how does it get any better than this?
Hmm.
And so you apply that to any situation,
Mhm.
and how does it get any better than this? Where you say, how does it get any better than this? And it's one sentence, it's open-ended, which is the important thing around fluidity. Language can be so mundane, but the energy behind things that are inquisitive, like when we were kids, that keeps the fluidity and the abundance and the possibility open, the possibility for more creation. So when you ask yourself in the crappiest or the best of situations the question, it leaves infinite possibilities open for you. And that's what
Yes. And your subconscious mind and your conscious mind, that the left brain logic will kick into gear and it'll start looking for the answers because it's constantly the side that wants to problem solve. So when you ask an excellent question like that, your tabs are going to go, "Zzz, how does it get better than this?" And you're going to start the creative juices flowing even more so. So I love that. I know exactly what you're talking about. It works. It does work because our mind constantly is looking to solve problems. And if you form it in a question, the answer will appear. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And
amazing.
it's so awesome. So it's, how does this serve me? How is it serving me? And like, yeah, how is this serving me? Well, every time I come here, I kind of feel like this, and so on, right? So it's a beautiful thing. And we're here as creators. So the more that we stay in the creative vein, instead of being
Yes.
stagnant or on autopilot or waiting for everyone, everything, what's the government going to do for me? Why didn't I get this? And go out and carpe diem, my friend.
Amen.
Seize that day, right?
Everything is a frequency, and I truly believe that we can align ourselves with the vibration of blessings. It's a frequency. Same thing with luck. I can see, and I don't necessarily like using the word luck, but I can actually see who has a greater chance of, winning the lottery, or when they touch that slot machine, they're gonna hit it, or the car misses them. I can see that kind of energy. It's a vibration when you align yourself with that. I don't know. It's a stream of blessings. It's literally like a broadcast system that you can tune into, and then all of a sudden you start hearing the instructions on what to do next, so that you're not hit by the car, and so you are, arriving in that divine time to go, psh, and the money comes out. So yeah, it's everything's an energy.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And one of the things that when you start assimilating some of these skill sets, and we're getting out of the ego mind and into your truth, you're going to find more presence in your life. Like you're really present, and that presence, you have this automatic awareness. Now, there's an awareness that police officers, first responders, they develop over time and through their situations and everything else. Like you always have it turned on, but that's a really adrenal, like draining awareness. It's stressful and everything, and that's for fight or flight or survival. And this is kind of a really cool, just natural feeling. You're feeling into everything, and it's like a 360-degree awareness. And I'm sure, you feel that on a regular basis too with your amazing work. So it's so neat is it is possible. Every single person here has sixth sense, everyone, right? And it's just we're going from those more, like say animalistic, but more denser vibrational things into more, instead of the rigidity, you're holding on to this belief. No, if I let go of this, then blah 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 is going to happen. No, it's, we dig deeper. What's the real universal truth behind the belief or belief system you've been hanging on to? And once it's like carrying around a 500-pound bag of whatever, and you've held on to it your whole life. No, these people are like this, and this is what happens. And I told them stay away from, and you hold on to that forever. I mean, life gets heavy, man. You
Yeah.
know, it's now open up to some possibility, and then we'll discover why what you've been doing hasn't served you. And you're not wrong, and it's fine. No matter what it's a learning process, and we touched on it earlier. But it's you're here, and you're going to relive these lifetimes. You're going to do these things and surround yourself with these other souls that you've had karmic implications with, if you would, based on an exchange where something wasn't understood, and then therefore because it's not understood, and what you did was out of alignment with nature, with the universe, and it was a lie or a deviation or quote a sin, without the religious connotations. You sinned, you deviated from universal truth, and now there's a reaction for that. That reaction, depending on how deep it went, may follow you lifetimes until you have that power to understand. And that understanding is through your heart consciousness, the compassion and that wisdom, and that understanding that comes from that. It's like, and then now I understand, like, no matter who's doing the craziest thing, I've been there before. Might not have been this lifetime, but okay, I understand what they're doing. Do I have to lash out in retribution or revenge or anything to make this better? There's another way. And it's not being right. I'm not right and you're wrong. It just is. Now, some people, they need a lot longer, time to do it. And that's fine. That's cool, because I kind of look at it like this, if you would, is, you want to take your mail out to the mailbox, and you can either go out your front door, put it right in the mailbox right there, or you can go out your back door, go through the yard, go out the alley, go down the block, jump on a bus, take that bus to the train station, take the train around, right? And then come all the way back. And it's the same result.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a whole bunch of experiences, but in the end, you can do things either way, and it's cool.
Yes.
Yeah. And gosh, I mean, did I have to stick around 22, 23 years in the police department to experience all that stuff in order to be who I am? No, but I'm very happy that I did what I did, and it served me to the point where I can give back to others, and with a deeper understanding and awareness that I know the rest of humanity, we are shifting and we're changing things. And um, I don't want to be too long-winded, but to get back to the main question of what you asked earlier, especially for um, the men that are out there, and the perceived lack of resources. Things are coming around, but we need to do more in so many ways. And so there's a yin yang in the universe, the duality, masculine, feminine energies. And for so long, everything's based on sound. So a sound looks like, a sine wave looks like this, right? And so you have masculine, feminine, so to speak. And we're coming back into this balance in this realm in order to access these higher vibrations. The feminine aspect, which has kind of taken the back seat for thousands of years, is now coming back in, and we're calibrating. And so I may not, like, for me personally, I used to get a little bit upset, of course, when you see the way things are happening. But from that elevated, detached perspective, when you till your garden in the spring, there's some things that have to happen in order for the bigger picture to take hold. Hang tight, everybody. You're not alone. You're never alone,
Yeah.
and you're always loved. And there's so many of us out there, and we are here for each other. Change your vibration, shake things up a little bit, seek out the resources, because now with the internet, there are thousands of years worth of secrets, like, out in the open. Especially if you like, I'm totally into Eastern medicine, Qigong, Tai Chi, the internal arts and stuff. There's stuff that's been hidden for so long, and now is the time that masters are literally lineages from thousands of years are being revealed, because now is the time where humanity is ready. So go out and seek this stuff, get involved, and find your own rhythm. And yeah.
What a beautiful message. Thank you. And yes, I love Tai Chi. I gotta say, out of or Qigong. Qigong is my favorite. Out of all of, yoga and Tai Chi and Qigong that I've tried, Qigong is the one where I could feel my body, the energy changing, and I could feel and see how far out my field grew from doing that. So yeah, for anybody who's never heard of Qigong, definitely check it out. Totally. And now, Kenneth, thank you so much for sharing all of your great wisdom with my audience today. How can they get a hold of you for life coaching?
The best way right now is to email me, coach@lucidlifecoaching.com, lucid, LUCID, lifecoaching.com. I do have a website, lucidlifecoaching.com. It's about to be switched over, but you should be able to go there, read up a little bit on me, and what the services I offer. Some of the links might not work right now, but they may be back up soon. I'm going to redo the calendar and stuff like that. But contact me, email me, and I give really great steep discounts for anybody who's military, first responders, things like this, of course. So, um, it's my way of giving back to a profession that is filled with nobility, and the vast amount of people that serve are just, the resources aren't there. So, if any way, I will never deny anybody. Um, I'm there for anybody. It doesn't matter where you live, what you're doing. And so yeah, let's get you back into a place of balance and fluidity, and um, yeah, love and compassion.
Amen. And Kenneth, thank you so much for your service, for all the years that you were a police officer for Chicago, and your years now ahead of you as an amazing intuitive life coach. And thank you, everybody out in YouTube land, for watching us here today. And don't forget to like and subscribe the video. Thank you so much.